Just wanted to do a quick video on some things that have to do with alcohol stoves, but not alcohol stoves themselves. So this is going to be a little video about pots, pans, pot stands, parts like that. Just kind of briefly go through some stuff here. I'll start up here in the front. Here we have standard hardware cloth pot stand. Similar hardware cloth pot stand here. Some cutouts right there for refuel. Sorry, can't point with the hand. Refuel tube, and some offsets. If I show you from top down, you might be able to see them a little better. No, maybe not. Some offsets for a Heineken can to sit on top of there. This one's a little more for a flat pot to sit on top of. Back here in the center, we have the pot stand for the Trangia stove. I actually think I have it upside down. Pot stand for the Trangia stove there. Specific to that one because of the rim of the Trangia sits right in there and lets your pot stand sit up on top of that. I have another little pot stand right here. This wire cloth, and that's set up just for my choke hazard. It's got one little notch right there, and that works with the Heineken can as well. Just an extra aluminum lid I picked up at the Salvation Army. Thought it might work well with one of my grease pots, a little big. I use either aluminum foil, which is not my favorite choice, or heavy aluminum for my windscreens. I prefer these. They're much nicer. They fold back up. They don't get ruined as fast. As far as utensils go, I like to carry the lightweight. Walmart has, I think it's a 4-pack of these. You get 4-pack for $4, I want to say. Or you can buy a Light My Fire. I believe that is Light My Fire Spork, which is a nice one. Both are nice. The only time I ever have trouble with those is when I'm working with a hot skillet. The plastic tends to melt a little bit on those. My favorite skillet I use is the One Egg Wonder, and you can see that's a very small skillet. My hands are bigger than the skillet itself. It's got that unique design to the bottom that lets the heat travel. This is a perfect pot for my squirrel cage, and I've actually bought the Mini Bull Design aluminum lid and handle that fits right on top of that, which to me is awesome. I don't get to use that a lot because when you're cooking in a skillet, generally you have it open. Anybody who's made any kind of a Heineken pot knows you got to have a side cutter. That one's not built for it yet, but this one works pretty good, and I haven't had to cut off the extra notch on this one. So the side cutter helps you cut your Heineken can lid off without destroying the can. You've got to have yourself some kind of good pot grabber for grabbing your pot when it's hot. This is a generic one. It costs maybe $3 or $4 at a local hardware store, Ace Hardware I think it was. I've got a couple different Heineken type lids. This is my Mini Bull Design. You can see I have 2 of those lids for my Heineken pot. And for those who don't know what a Heineken pot is, this is a Heineken beer can that's turned into a cooking pot for using when you're camping. And I'm going to show you real quick here. This fits right down inside of here, or on top of this one, it sits like that, where it's inside of it. So there's the 2 different ways that those metal cloth things can work with that. I use lip guards, just like you see a lot of times. I bought a pack of, I think, 28 of them, and I still haven't used them all. Another good idea for a lip guard, which is going to last you a lot longer, if you have an old Dell battery pack laying around, the rubber wrap that goes around the battery and all the cables makes for an awesome lip guard. That thing is solid rubber. That is never going to give out. It's awesome. So I use that a lot because that is a lot of lip guard, a lot bigger than these little things. You can see the difference there. And it doesn't dry rot. Let's see if I can get a good picture of that dry rotting. Not really, but these tend to dry rot, these lip guards that are on here. So next thing up here is I got a coffee pot, which I have a couple other videos on, made out of a Heineken pot there, and that's a really nice thing. I also have some cozies that I make out of window screens. There's the bottom of a cozy pot, and this will slide down inside there. This one's not built for the coffee pot itself, but for just a regular lid. You put that on there, and you can keep your food If you have two hands, you can do it. But one hand, yes, there you go. You can warm your food up inside there, let it sit for 10 minutes, and it actually will cook noodles and stuff inside there. My favorite pot of all time, though, is the grease pot. I think I've mentioned this in many videos. It's just a nice, lightweight pot. Doesn't weigh a thing. Cheap, very inexpensive. Nice big handle. The strainer inside the grease pot is awesome. You can use that with in conjunction with your pot grabbers to cook your noodles in there, and then just tilt it up like this. And all the liquid will strain out, but everything else stays inside there. And then you have drainless. You drained all your noodles. A little pot cozy I've done for the grease pot. Again, out of a windscreen for a car. It does something. It doesn't do a lot. I've tested it where it's with and without, temperature-wise, how long it holds the temperature. It did hold it longer, but not a lot longer. Here's another interesting pot I found at the Goodwill. This is a pot that has egg poachers inside of it. Here you drop an egg in each one side of these, and then you actually have water down in the bottom of this. And this is a very, very lightweight pot. I think it might be an old Scout pot or cooking supply kit. This thing weighs nothing. It's a rather big pot. You would need a larger stove to cook on. One of your BIOS type designs, that'd be a good one for. Not going to work on a Moab. Maybe, yeah, probably a Moab would work on there, but not a Choke Hazard or a Bongo Pro. Those are much too small. I have the old-fashioned, I don't even know what this is, but this is an old-fashioned Sterno type. Use it for alcohol stoves. It has a door on here somewhere if I can find out where the door is at. Oh, here it is on this side. I'll have to go down low here to figure out how it works. And the door, you set your stove on there, and then you close it, and of course you cook with maybe a bigger pot than this, but you cook with a pot on top of here. The thing folds down nice and flat. I'm sure you've seen millions of these out there. Moving back to the back table here. I didn't mention I have a couple different lids for my Heineken pot. This is the one that I think it's NC Hiker 1970 made. I'll put a link. That's the best sippy cup lid I've ever had. I actually have another one here that I'm going to make because I love it so much. The nuts are fine. I ate the nuts in there. It's a nut can. This is another one. It's just a coffee cup that I have. It just pops right down there, and it fits. No, it doesn't fit. It did fit one of the cups I used to have, but none of these. So, never mind. It doesn't fit. Some other things I have that go with my alcohol stoves is I always use the felt in my alcohol stoves whenever possible. I'm sure you've seen some of this. This stuff is amazing. Doesn't burn. Can glow orange forever, but never burns. So it's just back to a soft touch after you use it. It wicks excellent. I've showed some wicking films on that where it can wick from one to the next. I get mine from the hardware store in the plumbing supply, but I think Mini-Bull Design also sells it. It's a really good brand of it. And I think Zoltec is a company that might make it. However, I think that there's different brands there, and they sell it in large quantities. This is a fuel line that I use with a lot of my Mini-Bull Design stoves. I buy it from him. He has one of the best fuel lines I've seen. I think you can get it from an RC hobby shop type cars for the gas lines. But this stuff is amazing. I've never had a piece of that melt on me yet, so I just keep buying it from him. I buy it by the foot. He sells it by the foot, so why not? He's in the business of selling stuff. I'm like crazy about buying stuff. I also get my what's this called? The wick, fiberglass wick or string, whatever you want to call it, from him. He sells that pretty cheap as well. I think it's 20 cents a foot. It may look dirty here, but this stuff does wonders. I will boil on this, have a boiling cup of water, and I can pick it up immediately afterwards and drink out of it and hold it by this and not burn my fingers. And this is held on so simple. It's just a little bit of super glue right there, a little bit of super glue down there, and the bottom, actually, I don't even know if I super glued the bottom one. So I think if I snip the top one, I can unravel this. It's kind of dirty. I'd probably replace it with new stuff, but that stuff is amazing. I know it's on Mini-Bull Design for 20 cents a foot. It's up to him if he continues to sell it or not. You can get it other places, but you got to buy 50 yards of it or something ridiculous, and you're paying $30 for it, and I don't know that I ever need that much. When you're into these alcohol stoves, you got to have a way to fill your fuel bottles. I have an old Coleman funnel here that I've been using for everything I've ever done. It's dirty looking, but it actually is probably pretty clean. So, fuel bottles, I just use whatever I can find. These are little bottles. I tend to write fuel on them or whatever I can to keep them separate. This is a obnoxious little one. You pop it open and squirt it out. And it's okay. It's not my favorite. I prefer the actual bottles that have the flip top with a pointer on it, because then you can kind of point where you're squirting it, are the ones that I believe Tinny makes. I don't know if I have one. Actually, it's over here with my stove. I'm going to drag that over here with the nozzle on top that connects into his hose. And while I knock that one over, I'll show you the other one I have right here. This is one I made myself out of one of those bottles. Went out and got a brass fitting, screwed that in there. It works really good. I had to drill that exactly right to get that to fit in there. I'm kind of getting too close to the camera. And I actually tried some different hose here. And I mentioned to you that I really like the Mini Bull Design RC hose there. I went out and tried to find some other stuff. It was okay, it works good. It's a little more tension. It doesn't, when you flip this around, it tends to flip your stove around if it's light. And it's not as flexible. Like, so once you stretch the end of it, I keep getting too close to the camera. Once you stretch the end of it and you put it on a nipple or something like that, if you take it back off, it doesn't spring back. This is Weed Whacker fuel line hose that comes in two different thicknesses. This is a really thin one. I haven't actually used this one yet. It didn't fit on the nipple I bought. And this one over here is just slightly thicker. I don't know if you can even tell the difference. But I haven't used this one. This one ended up being the right size for the nipple I bought. Another thing I want to mention real quick on this video is I always use either the heat for boiling or for using in alcohol stoves, or the SLX. And I'm saying SLX, and I'm not sure that it's actually called SLX. I will have to check on that and let you know what it's called. I don't have that right now. The reason I use that is because I've actually tried a few different ones. I've tried this. You get this at the dollar store. Seems like you're saving a 20, 30 cents depending on how much you pay for your heat. This stuff is horrible. Do not buy this for alcohol stoves. I don't know what's in it 100%, but do not buy it. It was the worst purchase I've ever made. I think I ruined an alcohol stove and the bottom of a pot, and I think I stunk up my entire house for a whole day. So big waste of money on that stuff. Well, not a big waste of money, but $1 wasted, as well as stinking up my entire house. So that's just a few things that I have that are not alcohol stove, but alcohol stove related. I didn't point this out, but I had it up here. This is a little gum box, Trident, and I store one of my little stoves in here. I think it's the Mini Bull Design Bongo. I got this idea from somebody else on the web. It wasn't my idea. I can't even get it open right now. Oh, this pops open, that's why. Yeah, it pops open somewhere. There it is. And you can see just inside there, it holds my stove. The whole stove fits inside there. It's a nice fit because it fits right in, I'm sorry, I'm dropping it in. It fits right inside of a Heineken can. I didn't shut it, but. So, I think that's a little bit about my information on some of the stuff I use. If you have anything you use, create a video about it, link it to this one. Thanks. Bye.